This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/awesomecast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here on a Wednesday because I got a little bit of the vid here this week, but that's okay. It's just a 24-hour bug these days. It's just the isolation that kills you. But that's okay. And I feel bad. We had such a great show lined up, and we have had a really cool guest that was going to be here in studio and show us some really cool stuff. I'm not going to spoil it yet. We're going to try to reschedule them for sometime here in September, and I know we have such a weird schedule coming up here in September as well. So stay tuned for updates as far as how that's going to go. But we are here. It is Wednesday, and with me is Dave Podner. Yay! He's the only one not doing anything on a Wednesday night. Yay!
I am so boring. I'm always available.
Oh no. Well, thank you for your boringness, and hopefully we liven up your Wednesday night here at least. So let's get into it. I got a very AI centric rundown here tonight. Just some things I've been excited about in the last week or so. So let's get into things. But first, let's do yours first. I saw you playing with this today.
Yes.
Over on social media. There's a new app that you have lined up here. So tell me a little bit about this.
Sure. So, I've been playing with video. Not video, audio. The other thing. Photo. There we go. I'm looking for the right word. Photo. Filter apps.
Okay.
Like Visionist and or Card. And if you follow me on, Instagram or Threads or places where I post photos, you can see I get I'm trying to do a little stylized kind of watercolory thing. But one thing that they just came out with was it's a new app, and let me bring it up here. It is called, there we go. I guess they want to pronounce it Cinnamon.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
like cinnamon. Okay, and it's got this like creepy purple owl face. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yes. So what this does the whole filters, like live animation camera to video also. So you can do video, and it does it all on app. I mean, all on device. So it's not a matter of uploading it to a site and them processing it and getting it back down to you. You download it. It takes a little bit of time for video. That's why when I was testing it, I only did like 15-second clips.
And it's a little clip from Fishing Without Bait with our friend Tatiana. Yeah, okay.
And so, but it doesn't affect the audio. It just gives it a nice little stylized look. So it has kind of built-in filters down the bottom. When you open up the app, you can say, okay, I want that look to it or that look to it. And you can it's a good amount of edits you can actually do for the clips themselves. So you can change the highlights, change how many lines there are, how clean the lines are, basically make it more abstract, less abstract, deal with the lighting conditions, deal with the coloration. You can handle all that, and it just exports it as a regular video file. You can tell there was no watermark or anything on it. Now that is quote unquote only 1080p. If you want 4K or higher, you have to pay more for it. And there you can see. Yeah. But it still keeps a decent amount of you can still see what it is. It doesn't splotch it out so bad it's hard to see or hard not to see. And like I said, when you're done recording, you can import clips or take video right off of it. And it's just a nice little additional filters you can do or adjustments if you want to make your video look a little different.
Let's see. I got the video up here, and now I'm just putting other filters on top of it. Okay. Okay. This is kind of fun.
Yep.
That's kind of fun. Oh, we got a black and white version. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and then, okay,
I feel like
once you click,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Once you click the color, hit the next thing over underneath. So you have the filter, but yeah, right there. So no, right there.
Okay.
So you can see you can change.
I have
the
line
line
cleanup. I have a shadow. So there are a lot of adjustments you can make
and if
here.
you keep, yeah, I was about to say, if you keep going, you can see all the there's a lot of adjustments.
Nice.
So like changing the tint, change the dark color, so you can make some really. It goes pretty in depth with the amount of light, and you can chop it a little bit if you want, and deal with it that way, and then just export it.
And export video.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay.
So like I said, it for what, and then it's free. If you want to pay and get higher quality, you can do that. But if you're posting it to Facebook or Insta or TikTok or whatever, you really don't need that high quality. So it's a cute little fun little app.
So and I love the choices it gives for the immediate in-app. And we're gonna start seeing this kind of thing from now on too, right? Because when I go in-app for the selections, it says save to the photos, Instagram, TikTok, and there's a Mastodon link here, which I guess just kind of, that actually just pops you up in this, but I do have a Mastodon thing in here. So that's kind of fun. So that very interesting. So that was Cinnamon by Tin Rocket, if you want to check that out. How much are the in-app purchases?
That I don't know. I need to check that out. I don't know offhand. I'll look that up. I know it's not a lot of money. Let's see here. Here we go. Monthly, it's $1.
Okay.
Yearly, it's $6, and lifetime for $10.
And that gets you higher quality. Is that all?
Higher quality, yeah.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Nice little upgrade for that. I think that's worthwhile. And for $1 for the developer, if you're using it, come on, support your developers, guys. So check that out. Cinnamon by Tin Rocket. Very, very cool app. So are you going to play with that a little bit more as you get clips from the show and things? Maybe.
Yeah. So, maybe. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll play a little bit. So I have a new tool. Make sure Katie sees this clip later. So I've been using something. This was brought up on a couple of podcasts I listened to called Claude.ai, and this is a two-parter actually. So Claude is another chat. Nope, that's the wrong place. I'm still on the phone. Claude is yet another chat GPT like chatbot kind of situation. It's by Anthropic is the company that's group that's doing it. I don't know company. So go check that out. And it's again Claude.ai, CLAUDE.ai, and that should be up now. So there you go. Like I say, it looks like a little bit cleaner than what's going on over at ChatGPT. One hang up I did see as I was playing a little bit with it today, as I was doing basically delayed podcast day. I've been working with the Fishing Without Bait podcast today, as I was feeling a little better. You see, I still have those sniffles a little bit, but it did get me to a limit and told me 2 hours ago, says I couldn't do any more prompts until 7 p.m. today. So now we're kind of open, and let me show you what I've been doing with this. And this is partially one thing I do with the podcast. I'm trying to become more efficient, rethinking how we write the podcast so it becomes more discoverable. Turns out some higher-end people are doing the same thing and love to talk about it on their podcasts. So thank you to Leah Laporte and the company at This Week in Tech, because they've been talking about this process, and they're trying to do it on a higher end, and they probably have better tools that they can pay for. But I'm taking a little bit that I've learned. For instance, like, based on something they said, I wrote a new prompt, and that's the other thing I keep rolling my head around is prompt engineering, right? Am I telling the chatbot what I actually want appropriately, right? So this was, and I got parts of this from what they said and adapted for my own needs. So I would go in and say, you are a podcast producer for a professional wrestling discussion podcast called Wrestling Mayhem Show with host Mike Sorg, Mad Mike, special guests last week were Emily Fear and of Glit and Glitter. I actually screwed that up. Write a 300-word description. I didn't use this. I was playing with this today just to see how it would work. Write a 300-word description that sounds insightful and whimsy, and I misspelled that. So we'll fix that as we go. And it really did, step in the ring with your hilarious, insightful host, special guest, and it really did kind of break down what we talked about. So how did I get that description, though? You see at the top, there's a text file. This is the biggest thing that kind of gets me with ChatGPT. We talked about Content Groove, right? That we've been using to help generate and make clips out of the the shows that we do here. And it also, I can download that transcript into a text file or SRT or whatever other kind of text file that I need. So I take that. Claude will allow you to insert a text document. You can tell it to do something with that text document. So now I have an entire hour and a half plus of Wrestling Mayhem show, which is the longest show we do. So that's the big tester, because that's an hour long, or that's like 1.5 to 2 hours long. This one's about an hour long, and then we have like Fishing Without Bait that's like 15 minutes, right? So I'm able to take that 2 hours, up to 2 hours of dialogue, stick it in here, tell it to summarize the whole thing in a way that will hopefully bring out things that I didn't think about when I'm trying to make a lineup of the show and what we talked about later, right? So now I have something that, brings a lot of that to the surface. And I got to read it over too and make sure it didn't that it didn't kind of like rethink and hallucinate some things from that content or take it the wrong way or something like that. Because we talk about very specific things with technology and professional wrestling that maybe doesn't make sense to this algorithm. And from there, I do the same thing that I do from ChatGPT, and I'm trying to figure out how that works with this. But a lot of times I'll say, hey, what are the top tags, or what hashtags will you get from this? And it'll come up with a few things, and that turns into hashtags. That turns into hashtag clouds. That turns into tags for the blog. I try to get out here, although it gave me like all, no spaces in between things. So it got a little weird there, but that's the biggest thing. So Claude.ai solved that problem of longer text and being able to summarize it when you're doing your podcast transcription and breakdown. So now I do have to wait for it to go to, say, I got to wait for thankfully we're live to stream here on these shows. So as soon as I'm done with this, I want to take that link, plug it in Content Groove, let it spend like probably a half an hour or so to generate that text file, download that, stick it in this thing. There are obviously limitations that I ran into for number of prompts. And when it does, it tells you to sign up to get notified for paid plans. There are not currently paid plans with Claude.ai to be able to unlock more processes. So that's the limitation with that. But if you're like, I just got to do this show, or I just got to do this, or I got to do this, I got to do this once a week, you should be okay, especially as you narrow down and know exactly what to ask from show to show, from project to project. I will ask it the same thing once I figure it out, because I've already been doing a version of this with ChatGPT. Once I figure out what this needs to be every week, and tonight will be an experiment on that. Let me know how the show notes turn out tonight. That will be the same procedure, absolutely the same procedure every week of the show, and I should be able to keep under that line. So, again, it's another version of this. If you're familiar with ChatGPT, and that's been a specific limitation, I don't see much other reason to point over. I haven't seen if it is bringing in things from the internet. I don't think it reads links from what I was saying, but still summarized one of the articles, and I plugged it into the show notes to see how accurate that is tonight. So that's it. So Claude.ai from Anthropic, if you want to check that out. So,
well, I'm kind of wondering if one of the reasons why they don't have a paid model yet is they're trying to show it works and then just get bought out by somebody.
I think they just haven't rolled it out yet. I think
Okay.
they're, hey, we got something good enough to put out there. Okay, now they might be figuring out what that is, right? They're because everybody's beta testing in public at this point. So, you need to do that. I'm sure there's some hand wringing happening in the background of what to do with that paid and what that looks like. How many times are people getting this message? After how many times per day are they getting this? What is that threshold? And then that gives them information to say, okay, if you pay us $10 a month, you're going to get this much. Your limit is now up to this, kind of like Midjourney does. Your limit is up to this. You know, so versus instead of 8 prompts, you can get 80 prompts or something like that a day. Whatever that math looks like, some version of that. So it's interesting. So I'm curious about it. I hope it proceeds. And again, I'm also noticing I'm going fast from tool to tool now, right? I'm finding something like another tool comes up that does the same thing as a tool I've been using, but as another feature. So now, am I going to be all in on this, or am I going to be tossing back and forth between Claude.ai and ChatGPT? I don't know yet. Plus, Bard just has a lot of new features, and now we're seeing that built into Google.com. Plus, Bing is now on Google platforms, on Chrome browsers. So now you're open up to that. And again, based on some conversations, this is another thing I wanted to bring up, because we did a conference last week and for advertising, and they went a lot into AI. And there's a lot, and they pretty much confirmed a lot of my suspicions. If you're doing AI and it's fact-based AI, Google is great because it annotates where it got the information from. Bing is great because it annotates where it got the information from. If you're just taking a clean something from, say, a Claude.ai or a ChatGPT as truth and fact, that's a problem. You have no idea where they got the facts from, right? You don't know if they are facts. They could just, again, if you understand how these things work, it's a math problem, not a word problem that they're generating words with. So if it's purely based on training and figuring out the best next word, who knows if it's the right best next word, right? So at least if we're feeding it information, and this is what they talked about a lot in their experiments last week at this conference. If you're feeding it information to then break down and do a thing with, and then you vet that information after both sides of it, that's the only way right now where it makes sense to use this. Those are the kinds of use cases you have to look at for these kinds of things, right? So anyways.
Yeah, and I noticed I just signed up for Claude.ai myself.
Yes.
And it does say before you can do anything at all, it says, don't trust the facts.
Yes.
It literally says there's and it's not hidden, it's not hard to find. It says there are, double check facts may be wrong, and there may be things which are inappropriate here depending on what you're asking. So right now they've learned from different chat products, and it's like, oh, we're putting this out here, all of a sudden it turned into a racist bigot.
But there's things like that, of course. But of course, I just dropped the link in, and I showed that for a second there. This is a link that we have further in the rundown about the Atari 2600. And I just dropped the link in. It says Claude can't visit links. Responses may contain hallucination. And it does have a lot of stuff in there. And it looks like I don't know if this entirely fits. This doesn't entirely look like. This doesn't look like the thing in the link at all. I don't know where it got this information from, because this is a new console that it's talking about. But we'll get to that in a second. Hey, you know what's not a hallucination? The best pizza in the world. Unfortunately, not on Tuesday and not with people in here, and I don't want to visit them and infect them. So good friend Slice on Broadway, they would have fed all of our in-studio guests that would have been here last night that we had planned. But thank you to them. They've been supporting the Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza for well over a decade. Thank you so much to our good friends, Slice on Broadway. Check them out. Many locations across the city of Pittsburgh. SliceOnBroadway.com. All right, so let me get into that story we teased, and then I have a little bit of AI to talk about. Let's take a little video game break, shall we? And I'm not going to read this. I'm realizing how messed up this hallucination is. So
like I said, hallucination. That's a nice a little sense of humor.
Well, that's what it is when AI kind of makes up facts, because it's basing it on. Again, it's a math problem. It's that's just what we've kind of made it up to be. So that's what happens when you hear those stories about somebody from the New York Times or something getting the AI to say it loves us or something like that, right? It's just interpreting and mathing and everything. But that's the best way that we can kind of figure it. Hey, let's go to video games. Let's
go to video games that I actually know something about, which is unusual on this show.
I got the adapter, and I was able to plug an original wooden striped Atari 2600 that I've had for a few years Part of my family do a lot of house cleanup. At a certain point, they gave me a box with at least 2 Ataris. I got the one working kind of, and just a stack of games. So I have stacks of Atari games. We never had an Atari growing up. We were a Nintendo family. But like I know my sister I think played some of it when she was younger, and she's a bit older than me. So you know, so it was fun to kind of plug in, and I guess Missy had played some when she was younger, my wife, and so she was just playing the heck out of it. I walked away, she's still playing it 20 minutes later after I went to do something. But anyways, so and Atari has been coming out with these. You've had flashback systems that you could get from the dollar store for like $30. They'll have like 100 games on it, 50, 20 games, whatever. But this one is a full-on functional Atari. It's called the Atari 2600 Plus, and it will play OG if you have those stacks of cartridges, which all work, by the way, from the looks of things. It will play 2600 and 7800 7800 cartridges. There's one in between there, isn't there? It does come with a 10-in-1 cartridge. 52.
I think there was a 5200.
There's a 5200 as well. There's a 10-in-1 cartridge that comes with it, with Missile Command, Video Pinball, Yard's Revenge. So it does come with a little bit to get you started, but if you have the original cartridges, it is crazy, and you don't have to worry. It actually has HDMI, USB-C powered ports with support for multiple resolutions, all that kind of stuff. I bought new controllers for my original one, because I realized the controllers were complete crap, so I grabbed a couple of cheapos off of Amazon, which were pretty great. But yeah, as they say, it's a 1-to-1 production of the 2600, but 80% of the size of the original, and has the logo that lights up. It is going for, you can pre-order at $130, but they're also offering a $30 bundle with the paddle controllers and a 4-in-1 game cartridge with Breakout Canyon Bomber, Night Diver, and Video Olympics. And then you can get Mr. Run and Jump and Berserk cartridges for $29.99 each. So yeah,
I had Berserk. I actually had Berserk back in the day.
And I feel like you can find these cartridges at like yard sales or on Amazon or eBay for real cheap, right? So like you can get
assuming they survive, yes.
Yeah.
because you figure the Atari 2600 has not been out for 30 plus years.
Sure.
40 years now. Almost 40 years now. Mid 80s. So 40 years.
Yeah.
So whether they survived or not, who knows? That's the biggest question.
So, but either way,
I am getting flashbacks here.
However, am blessed with a very large Atari collection, thanks to my sibling, and this is big. This is really big. So if I get tired of fiddling with the old one and trying to get it to work all the time, and I'm a little suspect of that AC adapter. That's from the 70s. You know what I mean? And plugging that in the wall, you don't feel good about it. I told her, like, do not leave this plugged in. You can play it.
Oh God, no.
Do not leave it plugged in. No. We will lose a house.
We some of us have watched This Is Us.
Is that how the fire started in that one?
It was a slow cooker. They got from a neighbor who nicknamed it Old Sparky, and they left it, and they left it plugged in, and that's what caused the fire.
Oh, Old Sparky. That's wow.
That's a very Pittsburgh thing too.
Wait,
we got a slow cooker from Grandma, and we just kept pushing it down the family. You guys can have it.
And this is the guy that brought a slow cooker to the office here on Sunday when we watch. I said, bring British food. We're watching a pay-per-view from London, and he brings a slow cooker of beans, and we did beans and toast, which were fantastic, by the way. Were you worried the beans are what made me sick?
No. I knew because I wasn't sick and I ate the beans the day before.
Okay,
so
all right.
I knew that was safe.
No. Okay, all right. Because I saw that question when I brought up that I wasn't feeling good for the podcast. I was like, was it the beans? I was like, I don't think it was the beans.
No.
Anyways, I got some more AI. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'll say this: the Atari, because the Atari was my console. Because I'm just a little bit older than you, so that was
tiny bit.
What? Tiny bit, enough where my gaming started pre Nintendo, NES, and everything else.
I think you're of my sister's era, if I recall.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Atari was my thing. And I never updated to Nintendo or anything else. And so I just stayed playing Atari because it was a fun thing, because it was literally you come over, it's too hot to be outside, or it's raining or whatever, you can sit in front of the TV, plug it in, play your game, and it wasn't that hard to play.
Oh yeah, it's like the original like iPhone games, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was the vibe I got when I kept plugging these in. It's just you just play for a little bit and go away.
Well, especially a game like Knight Rider, where it's literally a black screen, and you're just using the paddle to go left and right, so you can swerve around the cars coming towards you, which are just two little dots that are the lights that you're trying to pass them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to the left to your imagination on these games, which is pretty fantastic. I remember Nintendo games where you see this grandiose cover art, and then you get into the game, we're just like, well, I guess that's supposed to be that thing. That's how it goes. Anyways, let's go back to AI for a little bit, shall we? I'm curious your thoughts on these. So this was another one that was brought up somewhere along the line. Can't remember where, but I got it very excited and put it in. So this is if you played with Midjourney at all, you know that Midjourney doesn't do text very well.
No.
Like at all. You'll plug in, you're like, what the hell is this? Basically, it doesn't understand text. It's going to give you gobbledygook, and that's about all there is to it, right? So, excuse me, I'm trying to get the live stream back up again so I can see if there's anybody in the chat room. There is people in the chat room over here. What's up, Kid Metal? There you go. On filters, he says he has a 2600 and still doesn't have the AC adapter. Look on Amazon. Look on Amazon. Go. You'd be amazed the Amazon parts that you have on Amazon and eBay and things like that. That's where I found there's a little plug adapter that would make the RC adapter work with like just a what did I plug it into? I plugged in like the AV or something on my TV. So that was cool. And then there's adapters to turn them into HD inputs to up convert them. I was playing with those a little bit. I'm trying to get consoles to work on, I'm trying to get old consoles to work on my computer a while ago because I wanted to do like a Twitch room at home as if I have time for it with the old consoles and things like that. And so and you said filters on filters up there. But anyways, where was I? Oh, so Midjourney. If you're having trouble with Midjourney, and like I said, it does terrible when it comes to those text and everything being generated. So you go to textify.storia.ai, and it's got a little thing. If you made your sweet image, and you can go in. It's got a few samples here, so let me just go to. Let's see if there's anything in here that's got some gobbledygook. They got this thing with a.
No, there we go.
We'll try to. Here, well, we got one called Chasing Ghosts, and also we could change the text technically. So they're Chasing Ghosts. I want to say Castle in the Sky, let's say, and we textify it. We select the area where the text is, so it'll look at that. You'll type your text in, and it's going to give you, much like Midjourney, it's going to give you multiple versions of this, and we're about 10 seconds in, and there you go.
There we go.
Okay, and it got a little weird, obviously, the way that we did this, but it does. You see how it did take that text and sort of replace it, right, with new text that you tried to plug in there. So maybe it's something where we got to change the font or something like that. Nope, that's just the size of that. Oh, yeah, you can change your text size here. I'm still learning this. So let's say we do that, hit Textify. So you made that cool image. It's got stupid gobbledygook over it. You want it to be the name of your super awesome podcast, and there you go. This is how you generate it. Textify.storia.ai if you want to check that out. There you go. There's some better results there. Whoops. And you can see this one gets a little cooler. And of course you can play with this a little bit too. It's not perfect, but if you start fussing with this a little bit, I think you can have a lot of good. Let's see this. Let's change this one. This looks like a level from a video game. And I'm just going to call it Stray Cat, and we're going to textify it and see what it does.
Well, I'm thinking that first image, because there were two lines, that may have been the issue.
That might have been part of the issue, and I didn't. Maybe you have to line it up a little bit and make the text about the same size that goes over it. This one did very well. because I just call it Stray Cat because this kind of reminded me of the video game Stray we've been playing recently. So yeah, it really it blurred out all the gobbledygook text. It replaced it with other text. So I'm pretty happy with those results. It's got a few samples of how to take care of it and everything like that. It tries to stylize it to how that image looks. That's not too bad. So there you go. Textified by Story, and then Story.ai is it's got a lot of stuff going on there. So once again, here's just a lot of samples and things, and I'm sure they're going to have other experiments they'll have come out of this. How many of these AI test things that we have here. So I got one more. This was a Google experiment, I believe. Did you hear of TextFX with google.com?
Not until you posted about it. No.
Okay. So
not until you put in the not posted, but yeah, this.
This is going to be, I feel like this is more, I'd love to have Missy and Katie play with this a little bit more, because this is a lot of visual and wordplay kind of thing. So it is AI powered tools for rappers, writers, and wordsmiths. And you see there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to go to this text, and this is a Google, this is like a Google lab project, right? And it says, just talking about, you start with some words and you just kind of roll out from there. And I don't know how to get out of this video now. We'll just restart that. And so you can get in there, you can launch TextFX, and you see you have a lot of options. You have explode words, break a word into similar sounding phrases, similes, chain, POV, alliteration, acronyms, fuse, unfold words, and things like that. So this can be something like, elevate a topic through different viewpoints. And there's ways that you can kind of look at that. So let's say enter a topic. I want to say computer programming. Why not? With words starting with A, and let's run it and let's see what it comes up with. Alliteration, computer programming, starting with A, API it came up with. ASCII, abstract class, abstraction, access, algorithm, app. So if you're like looking for, and this could be something if you're writing too, right? If you're looking for like kind of a breakdown of words and things like that. So this looked pretty cool. And again, something I wish I had when I was writing lyrics for my album. It's about 20 years ago. It's a text.fx.withgoogle.com, and I think that is I think the with Google is, I'm not sure what withgoogle.com is actually. Is that their labs? I think no, it just goes to google.com when I plug it in.
Yeah, labs.google.com is their labs.
Okay. So
because there's like other things that they have there too.
That's where the fun still happens, but you still don't expect it to last too long, right? So like it is still happening somewhere. I feel like this is what Google used to be all the time, and we've kind of gone away from that. So I hope there's some word people, Kid Mental. I hope if you're still in the chat room, you'll check this out too. I feel like this is up your alley here. So go check out those tools. Lastly, there's a big event coming up on September 12th, partner.
There is.
I don't know if you've heard about this.
I think I heard of it. Yeah, I think it involves fruit of some type.
I just found out about it today since I was in a coma yesterday.
Well, yeah, Apple is having their fall event. So it's the iPhone event.
Yes.
Okay. It just says it is the iPhone event. iPhone and probably Apple Watch event. And whether they throw an updated Mac in there, probably not, since it's kind of late for the school year. But probably, and there'll be an October event probably for iPads, I'm guessing. But this is the big Apple Watch, the iPhone and the Apple Watch. Apple Watch, minor changes. Next year, big changes. iPhone, big change will be USB-C for the connector, finally.
Okay.
Heavily guessing there's going to be a periscope lens on the 15 Pro Max, or
explain to me the periscope lens, because they were talking about this on MacBreak when I was listening today, but I wasn't able to pull up the visuals at the time. This is not something that Apple has had before, right?
Correct. Samsung, tons of times. Other Android devices, yes. First time for Apple. This is literally, if you remember if you've ever, let's say grade school science fairs, almost one person almost always made a periscope with a milk cart.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Where you have the lens, where you have a mirror on the bottom, a mirror on top, so you can kind of look up and over things, or think like a submarine periscope.
And you're going to build this into the phone.
It's going to be in the phone. So the idea here is there's two ways to get zoom. So you can do zoom electronically and try to blow up an image and use the AI and neural learning to try to fill in the gaps.
And we know how well that works out.
Some half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Not as better now than it used to, but still not great. But you can't beat physics.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to zoom is to have a big lens. Well, there's a limit on how much of a lens you can have when your phone is that thick. Mm-hmm. You know, even with the camera bump.
And there's
a limit.
And you're showing an iPhone, what, 13 or 14?
13 Pro Max.
That's what I got.
Yep. Sierra Blue. So, but there's only so much you can do on it,
mm-hmm.
you know. So the idea is that the light comes in, it takes a 90-degree turn straight down, and then it periscopes back. So you can have a longer, a physically longer distance for the light to go. So it's like having a longer lens.
Okay.
So Samsung's devices have a 10x optical zoom. So with the optical zoom on top of the digital zoom, that's how they can get a 100x zoom. The rumor is for Apple on the low end, maybe 5x, mm-hmm. which would be disappointing because the current zoom's 3. You know, unless they can come out and say it's a 5x zoom, but we've also increased the size of the sensor and the size of the lenses. So we'll let more light in. So it'll look, even though we don't have they won't say this, but the thing, well, we don't have the big number, but we give you much better light. It'll work better at night. You can do blah, 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 whatever
mm-hmm.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
On the high end, probably 8. I don't think they're going to go 10. And it's probably, unfortunately, only going to be on the Max model. Or...
Which I understand is supposed to get a price hike.
Oh, yeah.
For the Max model.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, I just looked at how much I still owe on my Max 13, and I got a little ways to go. I think I could. Yeah. I think for what I owe on my 13 Pro Max, because I got the tricked out 1 terabyte model, I could probably buy the low end new iPhone.
Probably.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
Well, also I would say the lens is going to be changed, minor shape change.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you know what you're looking at, you won't know. Basically, what was in the Max 14 will be in the regular 15. So it'll have the better screen. It'll have their change is that they're going to change the metal on the Max. On the Pro,
mm-hmm.
where right now the metal is stainless steel. And it's one of the reasons it feels so freaking heavy compared to the regular at the same size, which is aluminum. So the rumor is they're going to change to titanium. So that'll make it lighter. Not as light as the aluminum, but lighter than the stainless. That'll be nice, but titanium's more expensive than stainless.
So we'll see where it goes. Either way, I'll tell you what the barrier is going to be for me when these things. By the time these things come out, let's see if I can assess this appropriately. Give or take a month or so for these payments and where they're at with things. I need to. If this phone has to be worth me dropping $600 to pay off my previous phone to get the new one. Okay.
And probably
and yes, I could probably trade in. I can probably trade in, right?
Yeah.
Sorg doesn't do that. Sorg doesn't do that.
Well, you use it for production
Sorg
too.
Doesn't do that.
Yeah. Well, see, and we're not trading in Yoda.
We're not trading in Yoda. No.
No. Well, that's what we did with our old phone when me and Ruth got the 13 though, because they offered because we were paid off. They offered a trade in of like $600,
which would cover my phone.
Well, that's the thing, because
I mean, I might give them this iPhone X if I can get a couple bucks for it. I don't know.
you probably could, but no, I
You want
traded
this 8,
in my.
you want this 8 Plus that's up here?
There we go.
This thing is, I still use this. If nothing else, I've been trying to get the flow in here. I need a bigger ATEM. That's basically what it comes down to. But that has been used. If you watch our Top Rope Tabletop, I used the 8 Plus, whatever it was. Again, the highest end one they had for the 8 and X season. And that's what we use as I put an NDI thing, so it brings the feed over the internet, and that's our play area for the D&D.
Overhead.
Yeah, because it's something that's nobody's talking on it, but also this can plug in an HDMI, and then we would have a complete. And I've used it a couple times here on the show if I want to show something off. Yeah. So like that's absolutely like useful. So if now this iPhone 13 becomes that, great. Right. Or this becomes more of a rig-based phone that we use for things, fantastic, along with the GoPros. Like I'm expanding some interesting fly pack ideas right now. So,
but I would say the rumor is that the base model, we don't know what the memory on the base model is going to be. I'm guessing 256. They'll go 256. 512. I don't know if I don't. Yeah.
What's our base now?
I'm not sure, but I think it's 256. I think it's 256.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I don't think they're gonna bump it up to 512, 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte.
I love when I pick up this one iPad that I still use and it's got a 16 on it. I'm like, wow, what can I put on this? Literally, all I use it for is teleprompter and like streaming video when I'm on the road. But it's all I need. But it's not even the Pro. I think the Pro has 128. The original Pro, but hey, there's that. Okay. By the way, I will point out the whimsical iPads and Macs with legs for back to school on Apple.com right now.
To school.
Look at that, and I'm gonna explore this. What's the low end here for? I'm looking at iPhone 14. So if I hit buy, our standard model is. Oh, let's get a 14
Pro Max.
Yes, I don't
128.
I'll go
128.
128. Really? I mean, that's serviceable. I mean, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Hopefully, you don't have many photos or downloading much stuff.
What game? I just downloaded a game that was 2 gigs. What game was that? It's one that just came out like a week ago, and I was like, wow, that does seem kind of excessive, doesn't it? And I think the Hello Kitty game was maybe two. The WrestleQuest game was 2 gigs. I need to play some more of that one. Ghost Simulator Plus is on here now. Okay, sorry.
Now put it now. Admittedly, most of my storage are photos and videos.
Yeah, there's that too.
So I have 130 gigs used on mine. I have a 256. Yeah. Oh no, I have that, but the iCloud I'm paying for extra storage
for comparison, if you get an original iPhone 14, starts at 128, 256, max is at 512.
Okay, and the max goes 128, 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. So I could see them changing that to
So we got iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus. Those are
the Pro.
Oh, we got to go to the Pro. I forgot these are Pros now.
Yeah.
Because the Plus is just the bigger iPhone 14.
The bigger iPhone, yeah. And that's still going to be there. They're still the 15s will still have the 15, the 15 Pluses, which are your base. That's good. The only thing you're really missing is the zoom.
It's blowing me my mind that the iPhone Pro is its own selection on here now.
Yeah.
Like I'm having trouble getting used to that idea.
But yeah, the Pro Max right now starts at 1100. Now, if you want the one for 1 terabyte, it's 1600. So rumor is the Pro Max is going to start at 1300.
But what color do you want it in?
Unfortunately, the rumor I saw for this year
is nothing.
It's going to be it's going to be like a bluish gray, but more gray than blue.
By the way, I made the mistake. I went in here one time. I was doing something pro, and I was like, "Oh, I should probably shoot in ProRes since I'm doing something for professional, right?" And I went in here and I did it. And let's see if I can do it here. If I turn on ProRes, it'll tell you it goes through a period of freeing resources and tells you what your max time is. Right now, my max time is 0 minutes. But when I did it, and I still have like 500 gigs on this thing, and it told me I could do like under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
and I would fill my phone.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid I have to get that off of my phone, right? It is not tenable to do that yet.
That's why you need that terabyte. Well, you say you even have the terabyte model. You got the terabyte model.
If I had nothing else on this phone, I'd get 20 minutes of video probably, I think, at 4K 24 frames a second. Still freeing resources, by the way. Like, do not turn on ProRes unless you really know what you're doing. And it's like raw photos probably the same way. Raw photos probably not nearly as bad, but man, you got to be ready for it if you're doing it. You have to have a very specific high-end reason. And even the things that I'm doing do not qualify to need ProRes high-end 4K. We're doing 4K just because it's the easiest thing to do on other cameras. We're not doing it here. Like, the final product is not 4K on anything that we're producing right now. But we will use 4K for flexibility's sake. So do not do it unless you got a client that can pay for that storage and that headache. And I don't know too many people that do. And the ones that do have the big cameras, they'll do it. So
and well, not only that, then you have getting it ProRes off the phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good luck.
Even if you're
not airdropping that shit.
Well, no, and you can maybe be able to process it on the phone. You know, if you have an app that can handle it, but and remember, Lightning runs USB 2 speed. Yeah. Lightning and AirDrop are around the same speed.
Yeah, and it's been hard enough when we have a lot of video because I've been doing a lot of cinematic interviews on here. Like backup camera for cinematics. You've seen some of the work I do with SAE. That is a headache to get off of there on AirDrop. Like, I have to take all right, we're going to clear an hour. I'm going to work on this over here and start this process over here and hope everything syncs up okay.
I'm hoping
it is not easy. Okay, it could be harder, but it is still and then something happens with AirDrop and it cancels. And did I get all the photos? I don't know. You know,
I'm hoping the new USB-C connector.
Oh, give me Lightning or give me Thunderbolt. God, yeah, Thunderbolt.
Yeah, well, it'll be the USB-C physical connector, and to get the high speed, you may need to get a cable directly from Apple that's certified by Apple.
You know what? But that's okay though, because Thunderbolt's such a crap show to begin with. To get the right cables and USB-C, that's okay. Like, even if I want a Thunderbolt cable that works, I'm already buying Apple cables.
Right.
Because I know what they are.
You're not going to Five Below and getting the cable.
No, the only time, like, I think I have an OWC. I got a Thunderbolt hub, and that was a pain in the butt to find one that actually provided what I needed to do for a specific thing we needed to do, and we actually haven't used it since. But that came with the cable, and that is the only other Thunderbolt cable I'll use. Like, it is and I have a lot of video boxes that require Thunderbolt. Including some of the stuff that we've been setting up recently with our setup. But anyways, we've gone long-winded on this.
I want to go real quick because we may not. I don't know if there'll be a live show before orders open.
There will be a live show on the 12th. We will. So, programming note, we will not be doing a live show next week, I don't think, unless Katie and I get into the hotel room and decide we're good for it. So next Tuesday. But there's a lot of factors with that I really can't tell you if we'll have a live show next week.
Right.
I'm trying to if my idea and my grand plan, if we can't do a live show next week, I'm going to sit down hopefully before then and have Katie show me Hello Kitty and step me through the game for half an hour. So that's what you'll get. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. We'll see what happens.
You're going to say hello. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
There's a lot of,
but no. I'll tell you when we're off the air. But just as a heads up,
yes,
if you are interested in the 15 and you do have a phone to trade in, unlike Sorg, check out like on Apple's website or your carrier's website, trade-in options and finance options if you can't plunk down the money immediately. I just ran through it. Let's say Ruth wants to trade in her 13 non-pro. As long as it's paid off, and it includes $1,000 in AT&T trade-in bill credits for the current 14 Pro Max. I can get a 14 Pro Max right now if we pay off her phone, for $5.53 a month for 3 years. So, and you know, they're desperate. Phone sales are down. People are holding on to phones longer. Carriers are desperate. When it comes out, look for deals. They may offer great trade-in deals. They may offer, if you sign up in the first couple of days because they want to make their numbers look good for the end of the quarter. If you sign up before the end of the quarter and the next week, we'll give you, and they're going to throw obscene money for trade-in and everything else.
Yeah.
So just that one thing to keep in mind.
Yep. Watches are supposedly going to be out with this too. So same thing with
minor bumps.
Minor bumps. I think I think I got. I can't remember.
As long as your battery survives.
I literally can't remember which watch I have. I have a series.
I have no idea.
Is that a 6 on there? We're up
to
7.
On the back.
We have a 7, right?
We actually have an 8.
Is there an 8 already, or is this an 8?
Yeah, there's an 8. We have an 8, and they're going to announce the 9, and they're thinking.
I think I have an 8.
Yeah, next year will be the big one. Next year will be the big one because it will be 10.
I came from a 3, so you know.
Yeah.
A 3 to an 8, and I still wear still use the 3 as my overnight watch.
Oh, okay.
So my sleep activity is tracked. So I just have the thing on the nightstand. That's it. Potter, iPhoneography Podcast, Prof Pod on the social medias.
Yep. Prof Pod everywhere except for the TikTok, and I'm Prof Pod PGH. And have a look for me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this crazy
Glad
different
to be
Wednesday.
Here.
Thank you, people in the chat room, including our new friend Kid Mental, and hopefully we'll finally get him on the show here eventually when I'm not sick. Look for interesting stuff as we get around the schedule here in September, and then we'll be hopefully back to normal here in the October timeframe. Thank you, everybody. You have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at Sorgatron.